Alright, welcome everybody to another episode of Can We Make Impact Wrestling the best wrestling promotion in Total Extreme Wrestling 2013. My name is the Mayor Jason Smith. Episode number 29 for us. And in this episode, we will get to our December pay-per-view, which is pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. We are 2 days away. We've got most of the top portion of the card pretty well lined up. We've got Johnny Impact versus Dalton Castle, which performed pretty well on TV. We've got the Briscoes versus the Coffey Brothers, Eli Drake versus Jay Lethal, TJP against Will Ospreay. We have 4 of our 5 championship matches locked up with the Lucha Bros versus OVE, Jake Hager versus Alex Shelley, Marty Scurll versus Jay White, and Kofi will take on Ricochet. So now we only have to find one championship match, and that would be the women's championship match. Kairi Sane still doesn't have an opponent for this pay-per-view. Also, we have to fill out the rest of the card, so we'll kind of be keeping an eye on that. I went back and kind of looked at some of the TV tapings and some of the better matches we've put on to see if there was anything I could add to this pay-per-view that was pretty good. But I only went back to One Night Only's pay-per-view. And if we went back, I didn't look at the pay-per-view as a whole, but if we go in there and look at matches that, there really isn't anything that I don't already have booked that I could add to it. Sue Young is a possibility, but we've kind of done that one out quite a bit. Alex Shelley's already booked, and trying to find those B rating matches, to add to the card with people we don't already have booked. It's been kind of tough, looking back, but it's been pretty consistent with the guys and women that seem to have the consistently strong ratings coming back, which is the top end of the card. The lower end of the card gets us the B minuses, the C pluses, which is good but not great. We've got a Bully Ray, Sami Callihan we could add to it, which I will do just that. And, I didn't go back this far last time because we really didn't start getting consistently good matches until, probably October, late October. Every once in a while we would get a gem, like this match here, but really just not much of anything in terms of trying to find a B rating for the pay-per-view coming up. So also in this episode we're going to talk about TNA Hard Justice 2006 from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. We kind of set this up in the last episode, and I apologize that I haven't been live streaming in the last couple of days. I had a really bad sinus infection, and I'm still kind of dealing with it right now, but I can finally breathe and kind of talk and not feel like my face is going to explode. So thank you for kind of staying with me here throughout my dealing with my illness and all of the fun stuff that comes with that. So, Hard Justice 2006 from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. TNA not yet on the road for their pay-per-view, staying down in Orlando, which was a good move for them at the time. They had a total of 11 matches scheduled, but they had an issue with fireworks, the pyro, and so one of them had to be scratched and one of them had to be pulled from the card. So all in all, This is Hard Justice 2. There were a couple of debuts in this pay-per-view. You had the Impact pay-per-view debut of Jimmy Jacobs and the Impact pay-per-view debut of El Diablo, also known as Tommy Diablo, down in the Puerto Rican promotion WWC. Everybody else on the card had appeared on a TNA pay-per-view before, with the exception of Jamie Dauncey, who would perform in TNA under the ring name Sorelda. She actually won the TNA Hard Knocks, or whatever the hell it was called, their version of Tough Enough NXT kind of thing. She had been on a TNA pay-per-view before, but it was in a crowd situation where she was just introduced as the winner of the whatever the game show was called. What the hell? Gut Check Challenge. That's what it was. I had to look it up. And the winner of the Gut Check Challenge was her, and I think Johnny Impact. I think. No, that can't be right. There was another one that actually went on to do some pretty cool stuff. And then it kind of died off. It came back in 2012. And you had guys. You had like Robbie E. and Austin Aries, Joey Ryan, Taylor Hendricks. You had Sam Shaw, Wes Briscoe, Garrett Bischoff, DJ Z, who's in Impact now, Gunner, who's in NXT now, Gunner, who's in NXT. You know, a lot of guys that are in NXT now. Sam Shaw is in NXT now. Doug Williams participated in this. Then in 2013, you had Adam Pearce, Eva Lise, Brian Cage, Lady Tapa, Jay Bradley, Aiden O'Shea. I believe he's in WWE. No, he's not in WWE. But those are the types of talents that performed on the show in the Gut Check challenges. But she was the first. The male winner was John Bolin, who I don't think ever actually made it to TNA like long term. I think he did. He did like a lot of training. He did appear back in 2005 in a dark match, I think, at a pay-per-view, but basically he was a jobber for a while. He did try out in OVW. He is actually a tag team partner of Corey Graves in WWE for a minute, back in like 2006, I think. He did a little bit of work in OVW with guys like Elijah Burke and Aaron Stevens, Damian Sandow, Aaron Rex. Did some work with Cody. He worked with Shad Gaspard, Deuce and Domino. So, guys like that. He actually was tag team partner of Ryback, too. So, completely went off the rails with that discussion and, just kind of doing my thing as usual. Just get on a rant. So we're going to advance to the next day. And while we do that, we'll talk about the two dark matches that kicked off Hard Justice that weren't featured on the pay-per-view. The first was a match between A1 from Team Canada and R-Truth, and Ron Killings would pick up the win in kind of a quick singles match. Sanjay Dutt and Cassidy Riley would team up in the next dark match. 3 minutes, they would take out Jimmy Jacobs and El Diablo. So those were your two dark matches on the Hard Justice pay-per-view. Okay, so let's see what we got rocking here. Dan Severn retires. Dominik Dijakovic resigns. Okay, so yeah, we got this going here. Not much happening. So we'll go ahead and advance to our impact. I want to run medical. Doesn't look like anybody's fatigued, so we'll go ahead and run our testing, and the roster is clean. So we're in good shape there. All right, so let's advance. And we'll talk about the rest of the card here for Hard Justice 2006. So next up was a singles match. Johnny Devine would take on Eric Young in a one-on-one match. And Eric Young would pick up the W in that one. Another quickie match, less than 6 minutes, I think. Next up would be part of Team Paparazzi. Alex Shelley with Kevin Nash and Johnny Devine at ringside would take on Chris Sabin. This was actually a pretty good feud between Shelley and Sabin and the whole Paparazzi crew. This was sort of pre-Motor City Machine Guns on Impact. Sabin and Shelley at the time were not tagging up and were really sort of centerpieces, if you will, of the X Division. And they would form the Machine Guns in 2007. And I think that's when they started to really get rolling, and into some of their work in New Japan and stuff like that. And that also was pre-Time Splitters when he teamed up with Kushida in New Japan. So here we go. We've got unread emails waiting. We'll take a look here. What do we got? What do we got? Not much going on right now. Nick Jackson, that must be my email, has his contract up with AEW. Interesting. Would he be interested in signing with us? He would. Very cool. Now I just need to land his brother. Alright, so we're going to max out his deal. He's only 30. So we'll give him 20%. And he can skip house shows, and we'll go 4 years. Alright. So hopefully we can land Nick here. Steal him away from Impact. Alright. We'll advance here. Alright, so next match on the card, another singles match. Spike Dudley, Brother Runt in TNA. He would take on Abyss. And as per usual during this time, James Mitchell was at ringside. And Abyss would pick up the win. Samoa Joe would take on Rhino and Monty Brown in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Really good match. Ran about 15 minutes. And really kind of had a crappy place on the card, like mid-card. You had less than 10-minute matches leading all the way up to your go. And you hit the ring, and you've got Joe, you've got Rhino, you've got Monty Brown. 15 minutes. And then you turn right around. Joe would pick up the win in that one. And then you turn right around and you have a sub 5-minute match with Gail Kim and Sorelda. And I don't know what the purpose was of those two being in the spots they were in, but it happened. And Gail Kim would beat Sorelda. I kind of feel like that match was like a Goldberg versus Steven Regal kind of thing, where you had Gail Kim get in the ring with Sorelda and kind of just gauge where she was at in her development, and that's why it only lasted 4 minutes. And I think, I can't remember when Sorelda left Impact. I'm going to look that up here. Let me see here. So she showed up '06, by '07, she was gone. So, yeah, she was, she left the promotion after this. So, she would come back at the pay-per-view with the Kevin Nash X Division Open Invitational Tournament of Doom.com or whatever the hell it was called. But yeah, this was kind of the end for her in TNA, and it kind of showed in this match. But next matchup on the card would kind of make up for it. Three-way dance for the X Division Championship. Petey Williams, the champion Senshi, Low-Ki, and Jay Lethal. And really good matches. Most of the X Division Championship matches were at this time. Senshi would retain his gold as well in this one, and really good three-way triple threat match there. Next up, the lead up to the main event, a 15-minute match for the NWA World Tag Team Championships, and LAX along with Homicide and Hernandez along with Conan would take on the defending champions AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. This was a storyline, LAX, AJ, and Chris Daniels. This storyline was one of the most ruthless, brutal, hard-hitting, but well-told storylines in TNA. Maybe in its history. You saw LAX be ruthless and violent and just believably, unabashedly violent is the best way to put it. But it wasn't done in a way to where it was just violence for the sake of violence. It told a story and it moved it forward. AJ and Chris looked like they were going to have to, in the storyline, take measures that they probably had never taken before. And it was a really, really well done storyline. AJ and Chris would actually come out on top in this one and retain their titles, but it was setting up for a really, really intense feud in the months to come. And you'll see that in the pay-per-views that are coming up. Final match on the card, NWA World Heavyweight Championship, 15-minute match between Jeff Jarrett, the champion, Sting, the challenger, Scotty Steiner in Jeff Jarrett's corner, Christian Cage in Sting's corner. 15-minute match, typical Jeff Jarrett match, kind of by the book. But a really good match nonetheless. A lot of drama, a lot of story going on there. A lot of moving parts with all four of these guys being involved in the title picture. Jeff Jarrett would retain and go on to the next pay-per-view, TNA No Surrender, as the defending NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this was the last of Jeff Jarrett's NWA Championship runs, and you would see that in the future pay-per-views that would come up. The next pay-per-view on the card, which we'll talk about in episode number 30, was TNA's No Surrender pay-per-view from Orlando, Florida. You had the NWA debut of Joe Doring, who would come on board. He wrestled in FCW, All Japan, WWC in Puerto Rico. He's kind of all over the place. Never really had a major run anywhere, but, pretty solid, I guess. Outside of that, I don't believe there were any debuts in this one, but we'll talk about it going forward. And this one would feature an Ultimate X match between Styles and Chris Daniels and the LAX that probably is one of the top 5 top 10, maybe top 5 matches in Impact's history. So this one is a great. I can't wait to tell you guys about it. But do yourselves a favor and go see it on Impact Plus if you get a chance. But we'll talk about that in episode number 30. We've got a pay-per-view to book from the Norfolk Scope, home of the infamous D-Generation X takeover of WCW. For those of you who don't remember that, I remember that episode like it was yesterday. I could not believe what I was seeing on TV. It was great. Okay, so let's get to booking this thing. So we'll kick things off with our main event, Kofi and Ricochet. There he is. Kofi and Ricochet. And I'm going to see if these guys can do 25 minutes and still make this match good. We did 20 during the TV tapings, and it seemed to work out well. And we're going to slow build it decisively and open. And I actually want Christian to road agent this one and not Don Callis. Okay, so that one is booked and ready to go. Next, we've got Marty Scurll and Jay White. Oops. Alright, so there's Jay White and Marty Scurll. Whoops. Marty Scurll. There he is. And that is for the X Division Championship. And we'll have Don Callis road agent this one since I gave his main event away. And again, I don't care who wins. Alright, that one is done. Next up, Jake Hager versus Alex Shelley for our Impact Grand Championship. Jake Hager won it on TV a couple weeks back. He'll take on one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley. For the Grand Championship. Alright. Next up, we've got our tag team match. And that is the Lucha Bros against OVE. And we'll keep this one short and sweet. And it's not long enough for a slow build. Right. And finally, our women's match, which we never got around to finding a suitable opponent for Kairi Sane, but lately it seems like it's not going to matter because she has been beating everybody and their brother. So we're going to slide Kaylee Ray in here and see what, if anything, we can get out of a fresh matchup here. Okay, so we've got our primary title matches booked in here. Now we can plug in some of the other matches we know have historically performed well for us, or matchups that we've kind of tested out on TV that have gone well for us. So the first one is Johnny Impact and Dalton Castle. So we'll get that one plugged in here. clean out my tag team division here too. So we'll do the Coffee Brothers and the Briscoes. Get that plugged in. We'll have these guys work the crowd. Kind of get everybody pumped up and ready to go. Kairi Sane and Kaylee Ray were going to work the crowd too, so we'll pump that one forward. Alright, and then we've got one more tag team match. The Gorillas against Killer Elite. And I'm going to pre-show this one because they've all slipped so far down the card. We'll have that open the dark matches here. Alright, next up is back on the card with Eli Drake and Jay Lethal. Oh, I need to check to make sure that Amy... Okay, yep. Amy is road agenting our women's division match because that's why she's here. Alright, next up is TJP and Will Ospreay. We'll get that one booked up and ready to rock and roll. TJP, Will Ospreay. There we go. Alright. Still recovering from that stupid sinus infection. Alright, and then the last of the matchups that we had gone back through TV to find and looked like they could be a good opportunity for us is Sami Callihan and Bully Ray. We'll keep this one short and sweet also. And we're going to post-show it. Do I want to post-show it? Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah. We'll post-show that one. Okay. So now let's clear out our women's division. I think I've got 10 women left to pull off this battle royal. Let me check here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, and then I've got 3 women left. But I don't want these 3 to be the 3 I have left. So let's take out Shayna Baszler, take out Su Yung, and we'll take out Io Shirai. No, we'll leave Tessa out too. Okay, so there's our 10 women in our battle royal, in our pre-show battle royal. Amy Dumas, and work the crowd, ladies. Work the crowd. Alright, and we'll do a triple threat match to round out the women's division. Shayna Baszler, Su Yung, and Tessa Blanchard. This is almost, depending on how the women's match turns out, almost a #1 contenders match, even though all 3 of these women have lost to Kairi Sane at some point at a pay-per-view. We'll have these women work the crowd a little bit. Alright, so still lots of time left. Not a ton of talent left. So that's good. Now we'll clean out the bottom here. So we'll start with Brody King. And Brody can meet Brian Cage, because I don't think those two... Oh, they did. They met last time. So instead of Brian, let's try TK Orion. Have they ever fought? They did, and it was garbage, so... Oh, I'm starting to think TK Orion is the problem here. Alright, let's try Sean Spears. I hate to do it to you, Sean. No. Bobby Fish. There we go. We'll let Bobby work this kid over a little bit. Actually, I want them to not go all out. I want them to work the crowd. Because that's gonna be an opener. I want that as far away from the main event as humanly possible. Alright. Let's see who's next here. Chase Owens, Dave Finlay, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, I like. Let's put him with Sean Spears. I don't think those two have met. They have not. Congratulations, Sean. You actually get a decent opponent. So we'll keep it open, we'll keep it decisive, and all out. Alright, who's next? Chase Owens. Chase can have TK. Chase Owens, TK Orion. Never matched up before. I like that. And I'm going to try something with this. So I'm going to post-show it. No, I'm going to pre-show it. Excuse me. Still recovering from that nasty cold I had. I'm getting better, though. I'm not dead. I feel quite well. I think I'll go for a walk. Alright, David Finlay. Flip Gordon. Let's see what Flip can get out of Dave Finlay here. I don't think these two have ever gone one-on-one. Nope. They've been tag team partners, and it was trash. So let's see how they do. Alright, who's next? I think that clears out the bottom part. Now we just need to get these lower mid-card guys. Kota Ibushi has Brian Cage, Rich Swann, Ethan Carter. I think I like Kota and Rich. And then we'll do MJF and EC3. Zack Sabre, Eddie Edwards. And that just leaves Brian Cage. Maybe I'll stick him with MJF and EC3. Do a triple threat match right there. Just to kind of shake things up a little bit. We got a lot of singles matches on this card. Alright, so these guys are going to go all out. Okay. Nope, we're going to do a triple threat here with Brian Cage, EC3, and MJF. And I think I'm going to experiment with something here. So that means it's another pre-show match. Just experimenting with a couple different things. Alright, and last but not least, Eddie Edwards, Zack Sabre. I actually like the premise of this match. I would love to see these two go head-to-head in the ring. Alright, here we go. We are fully booked. Every member of the roster has a place on the card. Let me just double check that. Yep, okay. Every member of the roster has a place on the card. Let's hit it. Wrap this episode up. Alright, so first pre-show thing, not that great. C+ out of those two. That's kind of what I was expecting. Got a C out of the Battle Royal, which I'll take that. Let's see who won it. Britt Baker won it. Good for her. C+ out of Chase and TK, which is good considering I put a lot of instructions for the road agent on that one. Not so much with this one. I think because I had it as a call in the ring match, I don't think any of those three had the psychology that is necessary to do a call it in the ring match. Where there's no script to it, there's no plan. You just go in and figure it out in the ring, and I don't think it worked there. So it's unfortunate. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. All right. Rich and Coda gets the actual pay-per-view card off right with a B matchup. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. We'll keep a close eye on that. Bobby Fish and Brody King did not go all that well. That might be the end of Brody King. I hate to do it, but looks like we're going to have to release Brody King. David Finlay and Flip Gordon, meh. C+, but not terrible. Shayna Baszler, Sue Young, and Tessa Blanchard was okay. A B out of Eddie and Zach, which is great. We got some good opportunities for some good stuff there. B- out of the Coffee Brothers and the Briscoes. I think that's just because they had a different road agent this time around. They got a B last time we ran it. A C out of Sean Spears and Joe Hendry. They have good chemistry, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Maybe they can tag together or something. Spears and Hendry. Kairi Sane and Kaylee Ray. Another kind of meh match for the women's division. Kaylee Ray couldn't get the job done against Kairi. She has defense number 10 of her Impact Knockouts Championship. TJP and Will Ospreay with a B-, not bad. Eli Drake and Jay Lethal with a B-. Eli Drake defeated Jay Lethal. Johnny Impact defeated Dalton Castle with a B- rating. Another good match with the Lucha Bros and OVE. Lucha Bros would retain their championships, so that's pretty good there. B- out of Jake Hager and Alex Shelley, but Alex is your new Impact Grand Champion. Jay White, Marty Scurll pulls off another fantastic rated match. Marty Scurll defends the X Division title yet again. Kofi and Ricochet pull off another great match, and that is defense number 5 for Kofi Kingston. And our post-show match, Bully Ray, Sami Callihan, not good. But all in all, we get a B rating for the show, one of our better pay-per-view ratings that we've had. Increased our popularity in 40 regions, so pretty pleased with that. We'll make our speech here, and I think we will make it with Jay White. Give some of the lower card guys a little love here. I'm going to tell him that he's awesome. Kairi Sane. I'm very proud of her and praise her for a great performance. Or told that she could do better. She needs to drop that title. And Bobby Fish, I think, could do better. So we'll make that speech. Jay White's pleased. Didn't seem too concerned. Speech has been given. Alright, so there you go. There's our speech. We'll check our ratings and wrap this episode up. We ran a little long today just because I got sidetracked on a couple different conversations there. But we're doing okay. Alright, let's see here. What's the hold up here? Come on. There we go. Okay. Unread emails waiting. That's our ratings. So, Wolfgang stays with ICW. One Night Only December. Struck Gold. Excellent show. Yes. I like that. I like that. Alright, so Fred Yehi has left and come to our developmental territory. Our buy rate of 1.9. That is fantastic. That 1.9 buy rating, I gotta see where we were in November. We were at 1.87. So we are getting better. Not quite a sellout though, but a great show nonetheless. We'll work on our Nick Jackson offer too, see where we're at with that. Not being seriously considered, so we're still in good shape with Nick. And a bunch of guys need some time off, so we'll look at that too. Alright, so that's going to wrap up this episode as we get that saved. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you next episode. It's episode number 30. My name is the Mayor Jason Smith. Be excellent to each other. We'll see you tomorrow.